You've been doing it for years, without knowing it could slowly damage your brain, your heart, and your future. One simple habit in your kitchen may be silently accelerating aging from the inside out, and it all begins with what you thought was just leftovers. Have you ever taken last night's leftovers, popped them into the microwave, and sat down thinking you're making a smart, time-saving decision? What if I told you that one simple act, something as routine and harmless as reheating your food, could be quietly harming your body from the inside out? Not in a dramatic, immediate way. No, far more dangerously, in silence, over years, eroding your cells, inflaming your gut, and setting the stage for diseases that don't whisper until it's too late to reverse. It sounds unbelievable, even absurd, but science says otherwise. Behind the quiet hum of the microwave and the steam rising from your plate, chemical transformations are taking place. Transformations that have been linked to cancer, cognitive decline, and chronic inflammation. Not because the food is inherently bad, but because certain foods, when reheated, undergo subtle, invisible changes that your body is not designed to handle again and again. You won't smell anything strange, you won't taste anything off. But every time you reheat those leftovers, you may be feeding your body something it wasn't built to digest. This isn't fear-mongering. This is awareness. And today, we're peeling back the curtain on one of the most overlooked risks in modern kitchens, the hidden dangers of reheated food. Thanks for joining us here on Voice of Age, a warm space for real talk about life, health, and heart in our later years. If you care about your health, your clarity of mind, your energy as you age, or the well-being of someone you love, you need to hear this. Because we're not talking about exotic toxins or rare diseases. We're talking about spinach, eggs, potatoes, chicken, mushrooms, everyday foods, foods we consider healthy, safe, comforting, foods we feed our children and our elders. But when treated carelessly, these same foods can turn into silent saboteurs of long-term well-being. So before we go further, take a second, hit that subscribe button. Help us keep this channel alive so we can continue creating content that informs, protects, and inspires. Your support means everything, and it helps us dig even deeper to bring you truth that matters. Now, let's dig into the truth behind one of the most common yet underestimated daily habits: reheating food. Imagine this: you're eating a bowl of vegetable soup with fresh spinach. It tastes great, it's warm, it's healthy. At least that's what you think. But what you don't realize is that spinach contains nitrates. These are beneficial when fresh. They help lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and support heart health. But when spinach is stored and then reheated, especially in the microwave or on high heat, those same nitrates can turn into nitrites. Then, under heat, nitrites convert into nitrosamines. And nitrosamines? They are well-documented carcinogens, linked to cancers of the stomach, esophagus, and colon. This transformation doesn't scream or shout. There's no alarm bell. The spinach still looks green, still tastes the same. But what's entering your body isn't the same thing you cooked yesterday. It's a new compound, one your cells must now work to neutralize, one that slowly builds up oxidative stress, one that over time may interfere with the way your brain heals or how your digestive system repairs itself. And for older adults, this risk is even more pronounced. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at detoxifying and repairing cellular damage. What your body tolerated in your 30s or 40s may now cause significant strain in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. That same reheated bowl of healthy soup may now be feeding inflammation, contributing to chronic fatigue, memory loss, or long-term degeneration. So the question isn't whether spinach is good for you. It's whether we're handling it in a way that honors the complexity of our aging bodies. It's time we stop thinking health is only about what we eat and start understanding that how we prepare and re-prepare our food matters just as much. Because in the small decisions, what we reheat, how we store, when we toss, our future health is quietly being shaped. Let's move forward together and explore the other everyday foods that might be quietly working against your health. You won't look at leftovers the same way again. They're hailed as superfoods, rich in nutrients, low in calories, packed with antioxidants. Spinach and mushrooms have earned a spot on nearly every list of healthy eating. But what's rarely discussed is how their nutritional integrity begins to break down not through overcooking or poor storage, but through something far more mundane: reheating. On the surface, these vegetables appear innocent enough. You cook a batch of hearty soup with mushrooms and spinach on Sunday, store the leftovers in the fridge, and reheat a bowl the next day. It's still warm, savory, and seemingly nutritious. But beneath the surface, chemical changes have quietly transformed what you're eating, and your body may be paying the price. Let's start with spinach. This leafy green is naturally high in nitrates, which, when consumed fresh, can support healthy blood flow and reduce blood pressure. But after being stored and reheated, especially at high temperatures or in the microwave, those nitrates begin to degrade. They don't just disappear, they evolve into nitrites and then nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are not something you want in your system. These compounds have been consistently linked to cancer risk in scientific studies, including cancers of the gastrointestinal tract. Worse still, the transformation is invisible. You won't smell the difference, you won't see a change in color, but inside your digestive system, your cells are confronting compounds they were never meant to process regularly. Over time, this subtle damage, cell by cell, can contribute to chronic inflammation and impair how well your body repairs tissue, especially in older adults who already face slower metabolic and immune responses. Now consider mushrooms. Their rich umami flavor and impressive nutrient profile make them a staple in many kitchens. But mushrooms are unlike most vegetables. They're composed of a complex network of proteins, enzymes, and amino acids that are highly sensitive to heat. Once cooked, mushrooms are best eaten immediately. When stored and reheated, especially more than once, these proteins begin to degrade into forms that are no longer beneficial. In some cases, they become difficult for your digestive system to process, leading to bloating, gas, or general discomfort. But the concern doesn't stop at digestion. When reheated improperly, like in the microwave, mushrooms can develop oxidized compounds that increase oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress is a slow-burning process, often unnoticeable in the moment, but it's a key player in aging, inflammation, and diseases like Alzheimer's. For seniors already managing cognitive changes or weakened gut health, the effects can be more immediate and more pronounced. You may not feel sick after eating leftover mushrooms or spinach. You may not even notice a thing. But that's the danger. The damage isn't dramatic, it's cumulative. It's in the way your body subtly slows down, loses resilience, or struggles to maintain balance as the years go on. To protect yourself, consider cooking only what you need. Or if you must store leftovers, eat them cold in salads or reheat gently on the stovetop, never in the microwave. Health isn't just about eating right. It's about treating food with the respect it deserves, especially when your body becomes more sensitive to what it consumes. There's something deeply comforting about a warm dish of potatoes, mashed, roasted, baked into a casserole. They remind us of home, of holidays, of simpler times. But comfort can be deceptive, and when it comes to reheated potatoes, the comfort they offer may mask a quiet risk that most people never even consider. When potatoes are cooked, their starches become soft and digestible, providing energy and a sense of fullness. But once they cool, whether on the counter or in the fridge, those starches begin to crystallize, turning into what scientists call resistant starch. In some cases, resistant starch can be beneficial to gut health. But the story takes a darker turn when those same cooled potatoes are reheated improperly. The danger doesn't lie in the starch alone, but in the environment that cooked and then cooled potatoes create. Especially when stored in foil or left to sit at room temperature too long, they become a breeding ground for bacteria, particularly Clostridium botulinum, a pathogen that thrives in low-oxygen, moist environments. This bacteria isn't something you can detect with your eyes or your nose. It doesn't spoil the food in a way that's obvious. But once ingested, it can release a powerful neurotoxin that disrupts your digestive and nervous systems. And it doesn't take much. Just one misstep in storage, a foil-wrapped potato left out too long, a lukewarm reheating session in the microwave, and your body could be left to deal with the consequences. For older adults, the implications are more than just an upset stomach. The immune system weakens with age. The digestive system slows. What a younger body might be able to fight off silently, an older body experiences more acutely. Nausea becomes fatigue. A slight imbalance in gut flora becomes chronic inflammation, And over time, the effects ripple outward, impacting mood, memory, and long-term well-being. Even without bacteria, poorly reheated potatoes may create metabolic stress. The hardened starches, when not thoroughly heated, are more difficult to break down, placing additional burden on your gut and pancreas. In a body already dealing with inflammation, insulin resistance, or cognitive fog, that's a burden it doesn't need. But the good news is this: the solution is simple. Be mindful. If you must store cooked potatoes, use airtight containers, never foil. Reheat them evenly, preferably on the stove, where you can control the temperature and ensure they're hot throughout. And if they've been sitting too long or stored improperly, don't take the risk. Let them go. We often think that avoiding harm means making big changes. But sometimes, the most powerful choices are the smallest ones. Choosing to reheat properly or not at all. Choosing not just what to eat, but how to treat the food we trust to nourish us. That choice, repeated over time, can mean the difference between a body that slowly declines and one that quietly, steadily thrives. There's a quiet trust we place in chicken and eggs. They're staples in countless meals, high in protein, affordable, versatile, and familiar. For many, they represent health itself. A grilled chicken breast with vegetables, a couple of hard-boiled eggs for breakfast. Simple, clean, safe. But what if that trust is being quietly broken, not by what these foods are, but by what they become when we reheat them? Let's begin with eggs. When freshly cooked, their proteins undergo a natural transformation called denaturation, unfolding into shapes our digestive systems can easily process. But once those cooked eggs are stored and later exposed to high heat again, the structure of those proteins becomes more rigid, less digestible. That's not all. Reheating eggs, especially in the microwave, can cause the cholesterol within them to oxidize, producing compounds that have been linked in multiple studies to increased inflammation, particularly within the cardiovascular system. This process isn't dramatic. The egg doesn't turn black or smell rotten. It may just taste a little rubbery, perhaps sulfuric. But beneath that subtle change in texture is a deeper shift, one your body quietly responds to, day after day. For older adults, whose arteries may already be less elastic, whose brains are more sensitive to inflammation, this invisible shift can accelerate problems you didn't even know were building. Then there's chicken, a protein praised for being lean, efficient, and health-conscious. But like eggs, chicken changes as it's cooked. The protein structure softens, allowing for easier digestion. That's a good thing. The problem begins when that cooked chicken is cooled, stored, and then reheated, particularly if it's unevenly warmed in a microwave. That second round of heat doesn't simply restore the flavor, it further transforms the proteins into tougher, less digestible chains. For a younger digestive system, this might just mean a bit of bloating. For older adults, it can mean discomfort, digestive distress, or an inflammatory cascade that taxes the immune system and the brain. Worse still, reheated chicken has been linked to low-grade inflammation, silent, systemic, and cumulative. Inflammation that doesn't always show up on a test, but reveals itself in subtler ways. Fatigue that lingers, joints that ache, memory that slips a little more often than before. When your body is in a constant state of low-level defense, it uses energy not to thrive, but to survive. And yet none of this means we must give up eggs or chicken. These foods, in their fresh form, are among the most nourishing we can eat, but they ask to be treated with care. Cook what you need. If you store leftovers, reheat gently, preferably on the stove. And if something smells off, feels rubbery, or has sat in the fridge too long, honor your health enough to let it go. In our later years, it's not just the nutrients that matter, it's how well our bodies can work with them. Sometimes choosing not to reheat is the kindest thing we can do for ourselves. There's something deeply nourishing about mushrooms, their earthy flavor, their meaty texture, their reputation as immune-boosting powerhouses. For many people pursuing a healthier lifestyle, mushrooms are more than just a side dish. They're a trusted part of soups, stir-fries, and stews. But for all their natural benefits, mushrooms carry a hidden vulnerability, one that reveals itself not at the moment of cooking, but in what we do with them afterward. Unlike most vegetables, mushrooms are composed of a delicate network of proteins, amino acids, and bioactive compounds. These components, while highly beneficial in their natural form, are extremely sensitive to temperature fluctuations. When mushrooms are freshly cooked, their cellular structures are intact, their nutrients preserved, and their proteins still viable for digestion. But once stored and reheated, especially more than once or at high temperatures, those same proteins begin to break down in unnatural ways. You might not notice it at first. The mushrooms might taste slightly different, rubbery, watery, or bland. The flavor may flatten, but what you're actually consuming is more than just yesterday's dinner. It's a product of chemical transformation. Those degraded proteins and oxidized fats can challenge your body in ways that aren't immediately obvious, but grow more burdensome with time. They introduce free radicals that heighten oxidative stress, a known contributor to cellular aging and chronic disease. For older adults, this quiet shift carries real consequences. As we age, our ability to manage oxidative damage diminishes. What might pass through a younger system unnoticed can become a trigger for inflammation, cognitive fatigue, or digestive discomfort in an aging body. Many seniors report bloating, gas, or heaviness after eating reheated mushroom dishes, symptoms that are often dismissed or misattributed, when in truth, the culprit may be as simple as how the food was treated after cooking. Even more concerning is the connection between oxidative stress and neurodegenerative conditions. Research increasingly shows that what affects the gut also affects the brain. An overloaded digestive system can translate to mental fog, sluggishness, or even mood instability, all things that chip away at daily quality of life. None of this is to say mushrooms are bad. In fact, when handled properly, they are among the most healing foods we can eat. But they require care. Cook them fresh, and if you must store them, place them in a sealed glass container, not plastic, and keep them cold. If you reheat them, do so gently on the stovetop, never in the microwave. And when possible, enjoy them cold, perhaps in a salad with olive oil and herbs, where their texture and nutrients remain closer to their original state. Health, in the end, isn't built on grand gestures. It's crafted in the quiet decisions we make daily. And sometimes, those decisions begin with how we treat something as humble as a mushroom. When you respect the small things, your body responds in kind, with clarity, resilience, and strength. In the rush of everyday life, convenience often wins over caution. We cook in batches, store leftovers, and reheat them with little thought, assuming that food, once safe, remains so. But as we've uncovered, not all reheated meals are created equal. Spinach, mushrooms, eggs, potatoes, and chicken, these are wholesome, nourishing foods when fresh. Yet, when improperly stored or reheated, they can undergo quiet chemical changes, becoming something your body no longer recognizes as nourishment, but instead sees as a threat. The most unsettling part? You won't taste the damage. You won't smell it. And you may not feel the consequences right away. The harm doesn't shout. It whispers over months, even years. It shows up as fatigue you can't explain, brain fog you chalk up to age, or digestive discomfort that slowly becomes your new normal. The truth is, the kitchen habits we see as harmless, like wrapping a potato in foil or tossing yesterday's spinach soup into the microwave, can slowly burden our bodies with toxins, inflammation, and cellular stress. But knowledge is power, and change doesn't require a complete lifestyle overhaul. It starts with small, mindful shifts. Cooking what you need instead of over-preparing. Storing food safely in airtight containers instead of foil. Reheating gently on the stovetop instead of blasting things in the microwave. And in some cases, choosing not to reheat at all, enjoying foods cold, or composting what no longer feels safe. These changes may seem minor, even inconvenient, but over time, they add up to something profound. A body that works with less friction, a mind that feels clearer, an immune system with less noise to fight. Especially in our later years, these shifts give us a chance to feel more present, more energetic, and more in control of our health. Not by doing more, but by doing smarter. The real lesson isn't just about reheating food. It's about how often we overlook the invisible impacts of our habits. It's about slowing down, questioning the routine, and honoring the quiet wisdom of our aging bodies. Health isn't just a result of what we eat. It's a reflection of how we treat the everyday moments that surround our meals. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 foods have you been reheating the most without realizing the risk? Share your answer in the comments below. Your experience might just help someone else. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so we can keep bringing you content that matters to your well-being. Your support truly helps this channel grow and reach more people like you.